I work a lot on bikes with disc brakes. I routinely encounter rotors that are either contaminated or glazed. The way I fix that, the way everybody fixes that, is by sanding the rotors to remove the glazing. I've never really been happy with that though, because the results don't look very professional, especially if I'm doing the work on somebody else's bike. Earlier this year, I came up with a way to resurface brake rotors using my drill press. I've been really happy with the results. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to resurface brake rotors using your drill press. You'll get really good results, something you'll be proud to put on your bike. Alright. This is the setup I use when I resurface bicycle brake rotors. I've got my drill press with a 2-inch sanding disc mounted in the chuck. I've got a 3-inch rotary table that holds the disc and allows it to spin. And then I've got a machinist jack which supports the rotor while it's being sanded. If you're not familiar with a rotary table, it's basically a table with a handle, and as you turn the handle, the table rolls around a center axis. So you can see as I spin this handle, it moves this table. This rotary table has a hole in the center that's threaded and will take an 8mm bolt. That's important because we need a way to hold the rotor to the table so that when we spin the table, the rotor moves as well. To hold this rotor to the rotary table, I'm going to use an 8mm bolt and a washer. Run the bolt down and thread it into the table. And then this washer is just large enough that it will cover the opening in the rotor where it mounts to the hub. So I can kind of center that so I know that the rotor is centered. And then I'll tighten it down firmly so that it doesn't move. And now you can see when I turn this handle, it rolls that rotor around. The sanding disc I'm using, it's got a round shaft and it's clamped into the chuck. What's nice about this one is it's got these thread-on pads. So instead of being held in with an adhesive or a Velcro, it's got these inserts and they just thread into the bottom. What's nice about this is it's really easy to change grits without having to remove the disc itself. I am using 40 grit pads for this. I found that the more coarse grits tend to work better. When I bring the disc down onto the rotor, you can see that the rotor deflects. That's not ideal. If I were to sand it like that, it would cut the surface unevenly. So I am using that small machinist jack to carry the edge of the rotor, to carry or support the underside of the rotor. So now when I bring the disc down on it, it supports it and I don't have to worry about deflection. I know I'm going to cut square. When I bring the sanding disc down onto the rotor, it's not completely covering the braking surface. So I need to move the table just a little bit until that disc covers that entire braking surface. I'm going to turn on the drill press and I'm going to lower it until I hear this sanding disc make contact with the rotor. I'm running the press at a really slow speed when I do this, and I'm only applying a little bit of pressure, just enough so that the sanding disc scratches the surface. We're not trying to remove a lot of material, we're just trying to scuff up the surface for the pads. Once I have it there, I'm going to lock the spindle so it doesn't move. And now I'm going to roll the rotary table around and we're just going to lightly sand that surface. Alright, now I'm going to turn it the other way. Alright, that's one side done. I'll bring you guys in so you can see what this surface looks like. I've used this to resurface lots of different rotors. They always turn out really nice. The challenge can sometimes be figuring out how to mount them onto the rotary table. The flat ones are super easy. You can just bolt them down. The ones like this where they've got a raised center, like this one is a center lock, these are a little bit more difficult, but having the hole in the center of the table and the machinist jack really helps. This is an ice rotor. This is a Shimano XT. I got this one really cheap because it was badly glazed. I used some sandpaper on my lathe and it looks pretty good, but I want to use this and just cut a new surface. So we're going to do just like we did before with the other one, clamp it down, secure it, and run it around. So here's how that turned out. I really like this machined finish that it leaves. I think it looks really professional. This finish also beds in really well. So these are good to go back on the bike. If I contaminate these rotors or if I glaze them, they're really easy to pull off and do this again. The only thing to worry about is if I get too close to this minimum thickness. So there's a couple of questions I think many of you will have. I thought I'd just answer them right here at the end of the video. So the first is, why would you do this instead of just hitting this with some sandpaper? The biggest reason is cosmetic. It delivers a really nice, clean, consistent, and professional looking finish. I do work on other people's bikes from time to time, and I like to provide the highest quality I can. Doing something like this, or just having a rotor with a bunch of scratches on it, it looks a lot nicer. Plus, I've found that this machine surface tends to bed in a little faster. I had all the tools you see here already except for the sanding disc. I got the disc, it was part of a kit on Amazon. It was about 20 bucks. It came with a whole bunch of other sanding discs. I don't know if I'll ever use them. But if you don't have this, about $200 to put it together, maybe a little bit less if you find used stuff. This drill press is from 1944. You won't find it, but there are a lot on Amazon between 80 and 100 bucks. One of those would be perfect for this. The rotary table, I got this on eBay. It's a 3-inch and it was $40. And then this little machinist jack, it came off of Amazon and it was 10 bucks, I think. So the whole setup here to do this with your rotors was about 200 bucks. If you only resurface a couple of rotors a year, using something like this, especially if you have to buy the tools, is not worth your while. But if you do a lot of rotors a year, or if you do work for other people, a machine like this can really improve the quality of the job. So I was reconditioning these last night. I was thinking about it, and there are a lot of videos of people sanding these by hand, but I couldn't come up with a video where somebody did it with a machine. I really like this way, so I thought I'd put this video together, get it out there so you guys have another way to do it. If you have any questions about this setup, or if you have an idea of how I can improve it, or if you just want to tell me that it's really ridiculous, leave a comment down below, I'll check it out. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching, I'll see you later.